he's on 350 grand a week, and he's literally doing live streams on Twitter during a game. Like, it's embarrassing.
It's madness. Like, sometimes I getting 350 grand a week. Like, not even
so only one quick start for me, and that is like Monday, the one Saturday. My opinion is like the game in Premier League every season. Hello and welcome back to the 12th man. I think we're episode 33 now, Josh. Delighted to have you back on. Going to be talking about your team United as well as my team Spurs. Welcome back at the Champions League draw, the Europa League draw, planning the route to the final. But before we start, Josh, I want to congratulate you on being named the Derry City Under-19s ladies coach. How does it feel? And are you excited for the challenge?
Thank you very much, Gary. Hi, Brent. I'm looking forward to it. Just sort of in the door the last couple of weeks. Pre-season's officially starting now, so a lot to look forward to.
I suppose last week when I seen the news, obviously I knew you were on doing a bit with them, but I think it's a good pull for Derry. I know they have you in. Sure you'll enjoy working with the young ladies, like, and push them onto that the senior scene. Obviously Derry have been struggling in that women's area, so hopefully you can rebuild it a bit, and we're going to be talking a lot about rebuilds as we chat about Spurs, Josh. I think last night was probably the darkest time they've had for years. I think that was, if you have bad games, bad defeats in the Premier League and stuff, but they lose 3-0 to Dynamo Zagreb, and you only have to look at Zagreb, the Croatian league, their record in Europe. It's a really, really bad defeat for the club, and I honestly think it was embarrassing. Beyond embarrassing, it was shameful. It was disgrace what happened like last night, and the performance to go with the result was even worse. Josh, how did you see it? And what was your thoughts on the game?
I would agree with what you said in terms of darkest moments of supporting a team. I reckon I would have to be right up there. I can't mind any worse European performances from Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Over the years, I know they haven't been heavyweights, but they are one of the top 6 teams around England, which puts you in a position when you're playing that teams like Dynamo Zagreb. You have to be one of them, especially a 2-0 league. You know what I mean? You're going to that match. You need a goal.
They could even afford to lose 1-0. They lose 3-0. That was the big. That was the most concerning thing. I think Glenn Hoddle on BT spoke about it after the game. He said they be beat 3-0 by such an average. An average is being kind. You only have to look at the records. They be beat 3-0 by a team like that. It's massive, red flags, isn't it?
I think, as you say, you need a goal. You just need a goal. The team that he put out there yesterday, to me, seemed like it was damage limitation almost. Just try not to concede, lads, instead of just get a goal. maybe get 2, and then you can rest
So
your
do you
players.
think the approach was all wrong from the manager?
100%. It's what you expect now with Mourinho. You don't expect him to think like what I just said, where you put Bale on, all right, Kane does start, but he's going to start anyways. Put your attacking players on. Tell them, go out and get the goal. Don't worry about them scoring because we only need one. Essentially, you only need one in a European away fixture. So I think it was atrocious, to be honest.
And saying that, I was obviously very critical last night of the manager, and I'll get on that a bit, but the team he put out there was still good enough. They get a result. They even draw or lose with 1 goal. And then you look at the performance of the players, shocking. Even basics like they couldn't string 5-yard passes together. Couldn't. There was no real build-up play. They just wanted to kick it long. It was so pathetic. I couldn't believe it. I was watching. There was a few videos today going around. Some of the players doing things that if you seen your kids doing it, you'd be asking questions. Do you know what? Zagreb's goals were good goals, to be fair to them, but still, the Zagreb could have scored more goals. Spurs, talk about getting that 1 goal. They never looked like scoring until the last 5 minutes of extra time. So they went nearly 120 minutes without really threatening that goalkeeper. It's a really concern. I think over the years of bad Spurs teams and bad performances, I can't think of any as bad as that. And that is saying something. You look at them players, you look at that squad of players, they should not be getting bit 3-0 away at Zagreb. And you look at we'll get into the draw in a bit, but that there was a realistic chance of winning a competition going. But did you see Lloris's interview after the game?
I seen him. He was right. He's bang on what he said. You know what I mean? He had a gap into it. He said the players have to look
How
at themselves.
concerning is that for a manager, Josh? Right? You obviously we don't do interviews here. Do you know what I mean? We're only we're not on that level of the manager yet. But even you heard about it or something on newspaper, say for example, you heard about one of your players saying that there's no unity in the dressing room. That players are causing problems behind the scenes. And that togetherness they had under Pochettino is just not there anymore. How concerning is that for Mourinho that he hearing that? Let's say we don't really blame him too much and we shift a lot of blame to the players. How concerning is that for him that he can't seem to change that?
I think we spoke about it before, Gary, about Mourinho's man management and stuff, getting the best of the players. But putting that aside, as you said, the players that he put on that pitch yesterday should have been good enough to do it. Do you know what I mean? And Lloris is asking questions now of the dressing room, which I don't know how that'll go down. He's the most senior player, World Cup winner. He's been there a long time.
You know what, Josh, as well? A lot of people are praising Lloris for honesty, but I think it's pretty evident that Lloris is going to be going to PSG in the summer. I think he's possibly on his way out. So I think it's very easy for him to come out and say that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe he's just is hurting. He looked like he was hurting, to be fair to him, but I think that's not his dressing room and he'll be in for too much longer. So I don't think someone like a Harry Kane will come out and say that, because he's maybe he could be moving on this summer. Who knows? But you look at Kane, he possibly be stuck there. I think with Lloris, there's been lots of links with PSG and Pochettino. He could possibly be moving on, but no, you don't see too many interviews like that. Especially in the modern day, you almost associate it with like a Roy Keane interview 10 or 15 years ago when he was playing for United. It's very worrying for Spurs that an interview like that's being done.
Well, I wouldn't want a United player coming out and saying that, because then you said red flags. It would worry me if I was a Spurs fan that there's so much fractions in the dressing room. You've the likes of Dele Alli was probably looking out. As you say, Kane, I think there is a big question if Kane's going to stay. If he goes, Bale's not going to come back, is he? Are they going to pay for his wages again?
The money, he needs to be doing more, doesn't he? And then you think, has he had a fair chance? I don't know. The Bale one, on what we've seen, I don't think you can give him £300,000 a week.
No,
I would have liked to see him get more game time, but it's not really happened for one reason or another. Comment here from GJ. He's saying Josh said last night Spurs had no chance of winning your league anyway, so it wasn't a big surprise for him. I think that's the West Ham shining through in GJ there.
By Gmo's a Liverpool through and through. He's winding me up. I don't know if he's.
I thought he was a West Ham fan.
No, that's by Liverpool. He's Liverpool through and through. If you ever talk to him for 2 minutes, you'd understand why. Don't listen.
Right.
But
Thanks for your
I
comments,
would,
EJ.
I wouldn't have said they had no chance of winning it. I did think a Mourinho team, getting the latter stage of Europe. You seen the draw, you know what I mean? They're getting Villarreal, and it's not an easy one. But you like to think Spurs would go through there. I thought Mourinho was going to prioritise the Europa League. I thought he would have
You
put
know
a
what,
team out
Josh? I
last night.
think he would have done, but I think he thought the tie was over. And realistically, it should have been over.
It
You
should
know
have
what I
been.
mean?
So that's you can't really blame him on that side. Like, the tie is actually done. They've done their work in the first leg. They get a 2-0 up. They've avoided the away goal. Do you know what I mean?
I think the fact as well, Josh. I know a lot of teams aren't playing this weekend. Spurs do have a game on Sunday, and if it's their game in hand against Villa, if they had a 1-0, they were 3 points behind Chelsea in the top 4.
Yep.
So maybe he looked at that and thought, you know what, I can 2-0 up. We're not going to lose 3-0. I can rest, and all of a sudden, if we beat Villa, it puts the Arsenal result behind them, and then they're 3 points off Chelsea with 9 games to go, and they're in the quarterfinals, Europa League. They have a cup final. They come. It isn't looking too bad. All of a sudden, now you lose that game. You know, basically their season's on Sunday. If they lose the Villa on Sunday, that's it. You know, top 4's gone. Europa League are out of it, and then even if they do win the League Cup, which I don't think they will, it's still not good enough. You know, they finish in mid-table, and so we've sort of spoke about the players taking responsibility, and I have no doubt that they do have to take a lot of blame. But do you think we're seeing the end of Mourinho at Spurs and the end of Mourinho's reign at the top, where it just can't? You talk about motivating. There's obviously a divide in the dressing room. He can't seem to turn it around. He can't seem to motivate these players the way Pochettino could. You know, as Mourinho's time at the top up.
I think so. I think even him taking the Spurs, with respect, you're going to say Spurs are a massive team. I don't think they're as big as what Spurs fans think they are. And for Mourinho, I don't think 10 years ago, Mourinho's not taking a Spurs job. So the fact that he's even taking a Spurs job shows you how far away he's come from the top. Now, if he had done what he done at the start of the season, where he kept him going, I thought, geez, this would be unbelievable. But it's completely fell away. And now the questions are getting asked. I think his style of football is done at the top level. It won't work anymore.
You know what, Josh? See that style of play you're talking about, right? It might not necessarily be done. I do think a lot of teams have moved away from that kind of football over the years, but you need to have the players to do it. Spurs' defense isn't good enough to play the way he wants to play, you know, and you've seen that over the games when they have played attacking football. They've albeit against poor opposition, they've beat them. You know, when we talk about them games against Palace and Burnley and stuff. It's whenever they come up against the top side, Mourinho seems they revert to that. You know, let's sit off and let these teams try and break us down, and then we'll hit them in the counter attack.
And seeing in regards to defence, he wanted Dyer at United and wanted Alderweireld at United. He signed Doherty. He signed Reguilon. Lloris is a World Cup winning goalkeeper. So there's 5 there. I don't see how you can coach them to be better. Do you know what I mean? They're not League 1 players, League 2. You know what I mean? They're Premier League players. They played in the Champions League final.
So you think it's more? Do you think it's more the fact that the players aren't interested in playing the way he wants to play, more than the fact that they can't do it?
I think that style of play is good when you're winning. Once you get beat by a team like Brighton or so on, and then West Ham or whoever, and then Arsenal, if it doesn't work, do you know what I mean? Long term.
Josh, what do you think? You've been in dressing rooms, right, and stuff, and Spurs are top of the league in December. Maybe not playing that attractive style of football. What's changed since then? I know they've had a couple of sticky results, but what has changed? No, in terms of what made them go from being so top of league to being where they are now, in terms of, you know, was it down to the fact that they couldn't see out them ones playing that way and they've totally sidelined that Mourinho way of playing? Or is there someone else in the dressing room that we just don't know about?
Well, I would say the momentum completely shifted. Do you know what I mean? You're saying they were top of the league. They were playing well. They were grinding out results. You know what I mean? And it was working. Remember, I think they beat Arsenal, didn't they? It was a Mourinho
match. Arsenal, Man City, didn't they?
Yeah. So that was Mourinho, perfect Mourinho matches. Okay, but then I think after Christmas, wasn't not too long. They were hitting teams for 4 and 5 again, and then against Arsenal, he can't do it. He just reverts back to defensive football and gets caught. You know what I mean? He should. His team, I think, has starting 11 he got out against Arsenal are better than Arsenal. They should have won against Arsenal.
I agree.
They actually won 1-0 up. So you think, right, that's perfect for Mourinho now. And they just invite the pressure, and these players can't deal with it. And, you know, Dyer can't deal with it, Lloris, Doherty. You know, Doherty getting overrun. Mourinho years ago to spot it and just brought him off straight away. Said, "Take him off, put Aurier on."
A lot of people, maybe would look at this, and a lot of Spurs fans, people thought that when Mourinho went on there, he was already on a one or day on him with the fact that he came from Chelsea before, and Spurs don't like Chelsea, and Mourinho's had better. They've had comments with Arsenal and Spurs before, more so Arsenal than Spurs. I think he said before he never managed Spurs. So there was that bit of bad taste when he came in. But I think over time, a lot of fans did back him. Did especially at the start of the season when things were going well, a lot of people were on his side. So I don't think it's that fans are just turning against him because it's Mourinho. I look at it right now. I desperately want them to succeed as a Spurs manager, any Spurs manager, even if I didn't like him at all. Personally, say me and you fell out and you took a Spurs job, I still want you to do well, right? So, I look at it and I think the reason the fans are turning right is there's no style of play, no identity. There's even though when they sit back, they're not even doing it properly. So they can't even do that properly. The attacking, there's no link-up play really. It's more the Kane or Son does a bit of magic, or Bale recently. They can't really play it from the back. They go long, and when Kane wants a header, there's no one around him. There's just no way of playing, and there's no plan on the pitch. And then it all seems to be when they're behind in the last 15 minutes or so. You see players then maybe doing stuff on their own. So again, it does fall back to. I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but it does fall back to me for the manager as well. That he's not doing his job. He's not setting the team up properly. There's no identity. He's been here nearly 18 months, Josh. So at the end of the season, he said he had 2/3 of last season and this season as well. For me, that's long enough for fans. They make a fair judgment on someone. And in Mourinho's history as well. Maybe I'm judging on this as well. But when things start to go wrong, they rarely ever turn around. It just seems to get worse and worse and worse. So for me, I do think a change is needed in the summer. I can't see anything happening now in the next 9 games. I can't see us getting into the top 4. Where does it leave Spurs, Josh? Where does it leave Mourinho? Do you think he'll survive this? Do you think Spurs will pull the plug, or do you think they'll ride it out another year?
I think they will pull the plug. I don't think you're going to get the top 4. The fixture list it's not great. You still have to play United. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle, Leicester. You just follow it. Leicester. You have to play these teams. I don't think he's going to catch Chelsea anyways. I do think Chelsea will overtake maybe Leicester. I think that's what's going to happen. Leicester will finish 4. I do think Leicester will finish 4th this season. So I think you start that now. Mourinho's not going to be there next year. He'll blame everybody but himself. Yeah. And it'll just get worse, as you said. It's not going to get better.
I agree. See if the club are in a position now, right, where they say Levy judges it this week now. None will happen now before Villa on Sunday, right? Say they lose to Villa on Sunday and there's international break coming up. Do you think that's a sketchy time for Mourinho? That what's the point of running out for another 9 games if the club don't feel he's going to be the manager next year? And then the other thing as well is, I know Mourinho's won trophies before, but if the players aren't playing for him, would you not be better getting someone like, even if it is just Ledley King, they manage the rest of the season and at least they go into the cup final, maybe on the same hymn sheet? Do you think that's something that they'll be contemplating now between over the international break?
So I don't know how good Ledley King is at coaching, but let's just say he's quality, right? If they put him in charge now for like 9 games, I think they would get a better tune out of him than Mourinho. I think the players would react better. Ledley King, club legends, you know what I mean? It would. You see a lot with like Lampard, Solskjaer when he took over. They'll go for the attacking football first, you know what I mean? Try and make it exciting for at least the next 9 games. I don't think Ledley King long term would be the answer. But
no, of course not.
The answer's not Mourinho. It's definitely not Mourinho.
I agree. I'm just not about maybe managing between now and May, and I think as well. The problem you'd have is if you won the cup final, what do you do then? But same with some from United, how we Ollie had that. I don't think the long term plan with United was to ever give Ollie the job when he come in. No. You'll have that conundrum if he did well, but I think you have to spell out them. It's just until the end of the season, and we're going to try and sound out our man to take us forward. But I looked at the bench last night, right? At the end of that game, Ledley King had his head in his hands, looking at the floor. I know there's a lot of people just trudged off the pitch, which is very concerning. Doesn't really look like he gave a shit. Mourinho, he looked embarrassed more than I think. Obviously he's hurting, but I think it's his reputation that's getting hurt more than anything. More than the fact that he's hurting because it's Spurs. I think Ledley King, he's a Spurs free man. He felt like the rest of us last night, and I just look at him And I don't think, when I looked at his face, I don't think he can believe what he's seeing. These players are capable of much, much better. And, I do think that if they lose on Sunday, there's no real value in keeping him on for the next 9 games. If you don't, now, unless they're saying, well, we're sticking him no matter what, we're going to back him in the summer and we're going to try and go again. But I don't see Spurs doing that. I can't see them going and giving him loads and loads of money, especially in the COVID times where we are. I think it's going to need a coach that's going to be able to improve them players that are there, shift a few on and bring a few young players on. And I don't think Mourinho's that man. He needs a ready-made team to have success. So it's going to be interesting over the next few weeks, Josh, isn't it?
Also, the other thing too, Mourinho's probably one of the highest paid managers in the league. So has payout he's going to get. You know what I mean? He's that's going to cost him that money here. Just as I said,
that's the thing, and that is it. But at the end of the day, right, if you don't believe in the manager, you can't keep him in charge for the sake of 10 million. If you go by that assumption, you're going to be even further behind the year after if you let him continue on. So I think that'll be a lot of people are saying, well, they have the money to sack him. It'll be 2 years left in his contract. He has on big money, but the way when sackings happen, there's always ways of getting around it where they pay him so long until he takes a new job, or there will be ways around it. And ultimately, the future of the football club has to come first. You can't just keep a manager in place for the sake of we don't want to pay him off. They paid Pochettino off. They paid Harry Redknapp off, AVB off. They will do the same here. If it gets it, they'll find the money from somewhere. And I do think they need to go down the route of bringing in a manager, possibly a young manager that's going to be able to work with the youth players coming through. Because there's not going to be a lot of money to spend. Let's be realistic. They're not going to be in Europe probably. They're going to have to rely on the likes of Skip, who's been at Norwich, bringing him back on the first team picture. You've Parrott there at Millwall, at Ipswich. You've got Tanganga, Rudon there. There's still young players there that need coaching. Sessegnon to come back from Hoffenheim. He's done really well in Germany. So there is young players there they can work with. And then you keep the nucleus of the players you want to keep and try and shift on the likes of, Dyer, Alderweireld, Sanchez if you can. Sissoko, Winks, who've been here so long and underachieved. Lloris could possibly move on. We need to go and look for a young goalkeeper. I think it is time now for a rebuild. A lot of people have been asking me who do I think for manager. It's not an easy question, Josh, because ideally I'd probably like Brendan Rodgers, but realistically he's not going to leave Leicester to come to Spurs now. There's no chance, right? He's going to get better offers, even if he wants to leave Leicester, he's going to get better offers, I think. But I think he'll possibly stay with Leicester. Nagelsmann, there's risks attached to him, but again, I don't think he's going to come to a team that's not in European football.
He's going to Bayern Munich. That's the thing about Nagelsmann, though. I think a couple of weeks ago we spoke about you were on and out about Nagelsmann. I think now that he would never be going to Spurs now. Do you know what I mean?
You know what, Josh, I'm not even convinced on him anyway. I'm not going to be heartbroken if he goes somewhere else. I still think he's a lot to improve. I watched them games against Liverpool. I'm not a big fan of the way he set the teams up. I thought they were very, very open. And he plays a brand of football against them teams where I don't think he's got the players to do it. I don't think he adapts to the opposition, which a lot of people like that he'll play a certain way and that'll be it. I do think you have to respect opposition at times as well. Now, a lot of people I've been telling him who I want, and they've been sort of laughing. I'm thinking, geez, you're off your head. But Graham Potter would be my choice. I do like the look of Graham Potter. I think he plays a great brand of football. And people talked about, I think somebody mentioned Eddie Howe last night to me. And again, he done well at Bournemouth. But I think Eddie Howe was a basketball game. 3 threes, 4 fours. I think Potter's got a better balance. They do play good football. But again, you rarely see Brighton involved in high-scoring games. They're still difficult. They don't concede goals and goals and goals. I think if they had a better striker in this year, they'd probably be mid-table comfortably. And again, they look like a team, even when their results are going against them, they never lose heart and they always have confidence in their ability. You look at that game against Southampton the weekend. They went there and played them off the park after losing 3 games where they should have won. So, do you think Potter would be a good choice for Spurs if they really look at him?
I think Potter's a very good coach, but you think he could still get relegated this year. So he could still get relegated, Brighton. Now, if you're looking at Spurs, they push on, challenge for top 4. It's a risk. Do you know what I mean? You're going for a guy that was in Sweden. He's come over here now. He's in England. He's doing a good job with Brighton. Do you know what I mean? But as you say, maybe the next step, maybe not Spurs. Spurs are a big club, so brand new stadium, no fans are animated. Online. it's a big move from him. A big move from him.
Right, it is a big move, and it's a big risk, as you say. And I just think when you look at somebody, you have a good feeling about them. People have been on about the Southampton manager before, and I've said, whilst they play good football, I think there's a lot of things about him that question. With Potter, I can't find too many negatives other than their league position, which I think is down to the player, down to the lack of goal scorers they have. You know, his recruitment's been pretty good. They play really good football for the players they have, and their confidence in their body. You know, he seems to improve the players he has as well. You know, a lot of them players have been there a while. You look at the likes of Gross and stuff. He come up from the Championship, looks like a Premier League player now. There's just something about him that I like. Whether or not Levy will go down that route, as you say, how does he convince Harry Kane to stay if Graham Potter's going to be coming on? You know, but I do think, as much as we love Kane and as much as we love Son, we need to prioritise the future now. And if that means that Kane says, "Look, I want to leave," then do you know what? It'll be a massive blow. But we've not won anything anyway with Kane here. So obviously it can get worse in terms of he could become a double team. But I don't think there's a lot to risk at the minute, Josh, because of the way I think the squad's completely exhausted. You know, we can't get any more of that squad that's there. You know, they've got to that Champions League final challenge for titles years gone by, but you look at the last 2 years and it's completely fallen apart. So I don't think they can get back. So it's going to need a rebuild, and it's going to need somebody that's going to come in with fresh ideas. And there's going to be, as we see with Arsenal at the minute, they're convinced Arteta's their man. They're going to back him. I think Spurs need to do that with somebody now. You need to give him 2 years. And if it's not going well after 2 years, you have to pull the plug. But you're going to have to give a young manager 2 years and see how he gets on. I don't know what you think. Is there anyone else that you think Spurs could be looking at?
Well, I think Potter is a good shout, because anybody comes on after Mourinho is going to be freshen up. You know what I mean? He's going to give a club a lift. I think he does have a cloud over the club. You know, Mourinho, when things are going bad, he'll be sniping, you know, harming players left, right, and centre. And you have to wonder, the players are going to training. Are they looking forward to going to training under Mourinho? Do you know, let's go on. We're going to train for Zagreb. You know what I mean? And then even then, you don't get the results. So I'd say Potter would come on, freshen up the young players. He could definitely improve the young players. You think Kane's going to go? The older players, it might be a good shout. You know what I mean? Honestly, at the moment, I can't think of anybody that would be better for them. See where they're at. They're in between 4th and 10th.
I think with Kane, I think with Kane, that result last night might change things. I think if any team goes on with big money, he's gone. But it's just whether our teams can afford to pay big money with the COVID situation. I'm not sure. But I mean, Kane's got to be getting the end of his time. He always said he would stay at Spurs if he felt the club was moving in the right direction. I mean, everybody knows at the moment they're not moving in the right direction. They're going backwards. I think Mourinho was brought on to try and convince 10 big players to stay. You know, he was a winner and it was going to get better, but it's went the other way for me, and it's going to take a manager with belief as well. When Pochettino come on, Spurs were in a summer situation. They sacked AVB, Sherwood come on, they tie them over, but they run that period where it was just after Harry Redknapp, where they needed to move players on and start again. They had just left and stuff. You know, it was a dark time for the club, and they struck gold by Pochettino, and again, there wasn't much to go on. He done well at Espanyol. He kept them in the league, and they came to Southampton after one season. He was at Spurs. But there was that, you did look at him and think there was something about him. And I do sense that with Potter as well, albeit you could look and say Brighton's maybe a different, you know, Southampton's a bigger club than Brighton, and they've been doing, you know, they're more of an established Premier League team. But it's going to be painful one way they are, Josh, because you're going to see a lot of players move on, a lot of players come in, and it could take time to get back into the top four again. I'm not talking 1 or 2 years, I'm talking maybe 4 or 5 years.
Well, I think you know what I mean? It's the same thing happened with United. So it was crap they watch anyway. So you may as well freshen up, new ideas. I think Solskjaer's done that with United. Not got them back to where they were, but you see they're going in the right direction. I think Spurs need something somewhere. Now, you just don't have a club legend or anything you should bring in. I think Potter isn't a bad shout. I think he bring his ideas in, because I do think he has a coach with good ideas. Where he wants to go, he'll go higher than Brighton, definitely. So I think Spurs are the next step from him. And who knows, 3-4 years, it could still be there.
I think a lot of it will depend on if he keeps Brighton up. I think if he keeps Brighton up, there will be that tag there of, geez, he got them relegated. But I think he will keep Brighton up. I think they're too good a team to go down. GJ saying Marco Rose from Mönchengladbach. Again, I've heard about him a lot over the last... Who did he manage before that? He managed...
I think he's managing Dortmund now, anyway.
He managed Dortmund, but he managed somebody before that too. that beat Celtic. I mind there was some outside. I can't mind who it was, but he managed in
Salzburg.
Austria or something. Who?
Salzburg, was it?
I saw. I actually was. Something like that. Austria. That's who it was. And he's obviously built up a good CV again, but I think there's a risk attached there that he's never managed in the Premier League. Salzburg is just saying I just got that. GJ, thanks. But again, I would prefer a manager with Premier League experience. And Potter's got that. And I think as well, if he keeps Brighton up, which I think he will, I think he's worked on at Brighton. I don't think he can get Brighton to any higher than they are. I think, if a Spurs was any, he would definitely go. Or Spurs go down that way of getting them. It's another question. But he's got to be one of the names on the list for me. So last question, Josh. Mourinho, first game of next season. Is Mourinho going to be the Spurs manager?
No.
Not for me either. Moving on, Josh, your team, United. Do you know what, hey? The contrast and the empty performances last night. United looked like a team that were maturing, that handled the pressure well, that even though it was only they went into the game effectively needing to score, they were out, so they were effectively down. A 0-0 draw put them out, so there's a lot of pressure going on it. And then they got that goal. You're only one goal away from extra time. Again, they handled it so well. They never looked in any real danger. They look like a team that's maturing, don't they, Josh? Over the last few weeks, you look at the United result. You look at that result last night. They look like a team moving in the right direction now.
I think we've had our block. After Christmas, I think the pressure sort of got to some of the players. They were top of the league at one stage, and it just all went in ours. So I think they've recovered from that. The defence is playing really well. Actually, I was Maguire's biggest critic, but he's starting to do well. Luke Shaw's unbelievable. A few of the forward players aren't playing well, but we're still getting results. You know what I mean? And with Pogba coming back, and Pogba was a big difference. I think yesterday, I think he lifts everybody around him. All the players get better when Pogba's on the pitch.
He was impressive last night. After seeing him come on, he was driving forward, and he was giving them a different option to what they've had for the last few weeks. Still think there's question marks about Ollie's first team when it comes to the crunch games now. Where does Pogba play? Because I know he's been playing him on the left at times, but I do think he needs to play in the middle. So who does he drop? Because he's not going to drop Fernandes. I think Fred could possibly be the one coming out, but then does he give you that solid base? Pogba, can you trust him to do the job? So there's a lot of things that Ollie's going to have to question and weigh up in his head over the next few weeks, because Gary Neville said at the weekend he feels they need to win a trophy. They have a successful season. He thinks second still isn't enough. He still thinks he need to win that cup. And you look at the draw, we're going to get into it a bit more. But it's favourable, Josh. And then you look at the big game at the weekend against Leicester. You haven't been I know they've won a couple of games there, but they've had a bit of sticky patch before that, and they're missing Barnes and Madison. Another great opportunity to make a semi-final. So it's looking positive the minute, Josh. If they can win on Sunday, go down that last the international break, and then coming back from that, they're in a great position to achieve great things this year, and Ollie could really get the respect. I think at the minute, you know what, Ollie is getting the respect of the United fans now over the last few weeks, especially since that United game, or the Man City game, and then the one last night. All United fans are seen to be behind him. Do you think he needs to win that trophy to get the respect of the rival fans?
I think he does. This day and age now, there's a wild big emphasis on the trophies. A good second isn't really good enough anymore. Do you know what I mean? So he does need to win a trophy, but it has to be one of the FA Cup, Europa League, or a Premier League. He's not going to win the Premier League this year. He might push next year, but I think they have a good chance of winning the Europa League. The FA Cup, Leicester's a good side. Do you know what I mean? But if they get past them, you never know. Man City's still on it though, so I think they still have to be favourites. He has a good manager, for United. I wouldn't say if he went to Barcelona or something, he'd be a good manager for them, but for Man United at the time, he's a good manager. I personally wouldn't have given him a contract, for as long as I think he got another extension as well. But he's been doing a good job, so he's earned it. So there's not much more he can do.
Do you think that's good legs there, Tom, saying Mourinho to Celtic? Do you think you could see Mourinho end up on what's called? I tell you what, he played the same way up there. He played the exact same way. Even when he played Dundee or anyway, he'd park on the bus.
Go man to man against boys now.
I think I was going to say was, do you think that these last few games way Ollie give the fat. Do you think that they're in a better position to handle the pressure now? I know they've crumbled in the semi-finals before. I know they aren't at a semi-final yet, but have you seen signs against the going to Man City and winning? They're clean sheets in the big games this year, and they haven't won a lot of them. I know Man City was the first big top 6 team they bit, but they've been keeping clean sheets. And then going to the San Siro last night and keeping another clean sheet and 1-1-0. Do you think now that there's signs there that they're close to winning something, Josh?
They're solid. See the back four, and then is Fred McTominay. That's what he's always going to stick with. So as you said about Pogba getting on the team, he doesn't get on ahead of them two because Ollie won't do it. Do you know what I mean? He's going to just keep sticking with them two. I think personally some of the teams that he does it against, there's no need for it. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Palace, I think it was 0-0. There's no need for the two in that field, but they are rock solid. You know, clean sheet against Man City, clean sheet against Chelsea. They actually should have probably beat Chelsea. Somewhere game to the Man City one, just couldn't. Our forwards aren't buying goals on at the minute. I think Cavani's sort of went off, and now he's injured. Martial's had an awful season, played well against Man City. He's got injured now again.
Yeah.
So if we can keep Fernandes and Pogba on the pitch, might be enough to win the Europa League. FA Cup against it's a lot harder, I would say. Just with
do you know last night, or even obviously I talked about the two teams, the difference between United and Spurs, and then after that Palace game, right, there was a lot of questions about Ollie if he was the right man to take him forward. You know, the season looked to be falling apart. You know, there was loads of draws and loads of games they weren't winning. And then they just bounced back. You look at the Man City game, and then you look at the AC Milan tie. That's the difference, isn't it? That when Spurs lose a game, there's no bounce back. There's the manager can't seem to motivate the players. I think when United have a bad performance, Ollie seems to be able to motivate the players again. You know, and that is a sign of a manager that's got the full backing of the players, isn't it, Josh? That even when they have a bad day, they bounce back and they still believe in the way that the manager wants them to play, isn't it? That's crazy.
I think that's the main thing is the players back him. You know, we've had our doubts. Fans have their doubts about Ollie all the time. But the thing about football these days is after a match, it's just all media, social media, Twitter, whatever, Facebook, and you all feed on this. So I think once that match is gone, then the next one you forget about it and just keep moving on. Whereas Spurs get on the rut, they can't seem to forget the bad results. United result, they're on the brink. Maybe Solskjaer's on the brink of the sack stuff, and then he pulls out the results. It always seems to happen. So that just shows the players are playing for him.
Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking on Spurs. They aren't playing for Mourinho, and I think that's why there'll be a change made. But Champions League draw this morning. A tasty draw, they say. Looking at it, first tie was Man City against Dortmund. We obviously thought, me and you both sort of thought that Dortmund would struggle against Sevilla. In the end, they scraped through. It was very tight. I think Sevilla's first leg let them down at home. You know, they give themselves a body of mountain to climb, and they did play well in that second game.
There was even the first game.
What's that?
Sorry, I was going to say what I was going to say. The first half of the first leg was what let Sevilla down. From the second match, they were a better team. Second half and the first leg, they were a better team. I think the difference is Haaland. You know, it's
chances. Do you think Dortmund? Has it changed your opinion on Dortmund now? Do you think do you still think they're fortunate to be in there?
Oh, well, I was giving the predictions in the first. I remember saying about Sevilla's back four. Like Sevilla were all up below that. Haaland destroyed them. Then they were on a wee money crisis. They've come back now from it. Dortmund, I think Haaland, the Champions League, is just a different beast. You know, he looks motivated to see all the big things. He wants to score past them. He's really, really up for it. He doesn't really do it in the league. Seem well up for it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say he doesn't do it in the league, but against the Champions League teams, he's buying up for it. You know what I mean?
How much of a challenge is it going to Man City for Dortmund? Do you think this is a really, really tough ask? And do you think that, well, the only thing that maybe Haaland will want to really show himself against the English teams, he'll be up for it, but at the end of the day, it's down to the 11 players. Do you think Dortmund are good enough to give Man City a serious tie over these two games?
I think they are good enough. You know, any of the teams down the quarterfinals are good enough. That's why they're there. But I think Haaland's, he's a different type of player than City are going to deal with week in, week out in the Premier League. He's different than anybody in Europe, really. You know, there's not many boys like him. So I think he'll give him problems. I don't know if I give him so much problems that they'll struggle to beat Dortmund, because I think Man City would be one of the favourites. I know the draw hasn't been kind of the one. They've run the Bayern PSG, but you'd still fancy them you know what I mean?
So, Man City, Dortmund, how do you see it going, and who's going to win this tie?
I think Man City will go through. I remember everyone says it now. It's out there that Pep tries to overthink these big ones. I don't know if he's going to do it again. I think.
No, you know what, Josh, as well. I think Decky made a great point when he was on the draw earlier on. Me and Emmett, and Decky were on this morning doing the draw. He said that it's hard seeing when it comes to Champions League. Sometimes it's about your pedigree. And Madrid, for example, have a pedigree, right? And there's going to be a wee bit of a fear factor still there. Dortmund have this record of getting to these stages and collapsing. I know if you go back further under Klopp, they did quite well, but I think that they played Spurs a few years ago and they were favourites and they collapsed and they were beat 4-0 over 2 games. They've had struggled into the group stage before, and still a young team as well. So getting to this stage against Man City, I know Man City have had bad experiences in the Champions League. They're still a more experienced team than Dortmund as well. And I think City will be happy with the draw. I know Dortmund have quality, but City have more, and they've got that experience edge on them as well, haven't they?
Aye, they definitely do. No, I think City been at this stage now for the last 10 years, you know what I mean? Every year. I think a few must-haves, you know what I mean? Like Leon last year, I think Sterling scores are through. So stuff like that goes against them. I think they'll be really, really up for this one. The league's gone, do you know what I mean? I think the league's finished now, so they can focus on Champions League. And I think they'll be too strong for Dortmund overall. I think Haaland will cause them problems. He'll maybe score a goal or two. I think City should still put them away.
Yeah. I think City as well. I think City will go free. Next tie was Porto against Chelsea. I think when Porto come out, everyone was sort of praying they were going to be the next team out after. No disrespect them, but they probably are the weakest team left on it. And Chelsea will be very happy with this draw, won't they, Josh?
I think Chelsea could be dark horse for the whole thing. I think
I agree as well.
Solid at the back. Absolutely rock solid at the back. Now, they've seemed to got the front three score now, whatever combination he uses. Tuchel, he is probably one of the best squads left on it in terms of size, options off the bench, options from the start. I think they'll beat Porto. I think they could even keep a clean sheet over 2 games. So they don't look like
they've only conceded one goal since Tuchel come in. You know, and you look at the way they played against Atletico the other night. A lot of teams don't like playing Atletico for a number of reasons, right? And they might not be the team they were maybe a couple of years ago. He's beat Liverpool last year. They're a very nasty team to play against, and Chelsea bullied them. I thought, over the 2 games they rattled them as well. And it's not usually you see Atletico players getting rattled. It was all right. It's usually the other way about. The way they played out from the back, and he's only been working with 2 months. I don't necessarily think he's got the players to do what he wants to do. I think if he brings in an arm midfielder I think at Thiago, I spoke about it before. I think Thiago would suit Chelsea perfectly. The way they play, they're very much a possession-based team, where Liverpool are a bit more direct. I think Thiago would be a type of player that they'll be looking for in the summer. You look at like a Verratti at PSG. I think you'll be looking at him. I know he's worked with him before, but he's doing really, really well with the play. I know he's got a lot of talent there in the front and the forward areas, but that defense was a shambles under Lampard. He's improved them dramatically, and he's got them playing with such confidence that you think. I don't think any team will want to play them. I put Man City and Bayern Munich on that bracket.
I think even you say that he's improved everybody. Look, I just calling out. I thought that was done. Still last 2 seasons, especially under Lampard, and then I think he was playing that role. He was further forward. I thought he was finished. He wasn't tackling well. He was giving away stupid fouls. But season Tuchel come in, he's unbelievable again. And then against Atletico Madrid, he was brilliant. You've got Werner's playing well. He's not scoring as many goals as you want him to do, but he still is playing well. He's putting on assists. He's banging the post every game.
You know what, he is playing well, but that might be the only thing that lets him down. They miss a lot of chances. Werner's not clinical at all. He's even, the way he say a player needs 30 or 40 score, he's even getting them. He's getting 3 or 4 and still not score, and they're gilt-edged chances. I know he put a great pass in for Ziyech. He's built a play, and his overall play is pretty good, but it's just against Bayern Munich and Man City or Liverpool, even if they get them in the semi-final, they're going to need to take them chances. That'll be the only concern. I think just on this tie, I do think they'll be comfortable for 2 games. So I'm going to go for Chelsea to go free. Do you agree?
Yeah, Chelsea go free.
A lot of intrigue about this tie. Bayern Munich against PSG. Obviously a rewind of last year's final. People are saying Bayern might not be the same team they were last year. I think sometimes it can be difficult to go 2 years in a row. PSG, a lot of people were excited, including myself and Parsnino went there. It's not really happened for them. I know they got through against Barcelona, but their overall league form has been pretty poor. There seems to be a lot of stuff going wrong off the pitch. So again, it's a test of Pochettino's management. They come on here now and really, managers have failed before, right? Dealing with Alexa Neymar and stuff. So it's a big job for him, and he's going to be judged in the Champions League. I even think, obviously, they always think that the French league is their bread and butter, and they want it every year. But like Celtic do in Scotland, but PSG are desperate for the Champions League. If they already won the Champions League, they're finishing second this year in the French league wouldn't mean anything to them. So, do you think they can beat Bayern over the two legs, or do you think it's just too much of an ask with the players they have?
I think if the players, they beat them. I just don't think they will. I think Bayern Munich had a blip. I think they're getting back to it now, pushing them this season. I think they'll go all out for this. I think they will beat them. I think Bayern will beat PSG. I think you say there's questions to be asked. I think even behind the scenes, as he as good as what they thought he was going to be, I think they could beat the already a team in the relegation zone. Nonce, you know what I mean? So there was things happening obviously off the pitch with Di Maria and Marquinhos were robbed. You know what I mean? So a lot going on in the dressing room. I think they've definitely got the most talented group from the most talented front three, but Bayern Munich overall just look a better team.
I think if you take out that front three, they're an average side. I don't think they're good enough to win the Champions League. PSG. I think obviously Mbappe and Neymar and Di Maria could fire them on their day, but you're going to come up against top quality players and our teams as well. And I just think that they overall they're not good enough. I think last year they were fortunate that they got Leipzig in the semi-final. They were very lucky to get through against Atlanta in the end of the quarterfinal. They had a lot of luck last year getting to the final. And I think in the final they were completely found out. And that'll live long in the memory that Bayern are still very similar to the team that they played in the summer. And to be honest, I don't even see this being close. I think Bayern will be comfortable over the two legs. I think PSG, you see even they were 4-1 up against Barcelona, and they even made a mess of that time. And Barcelona really could have got a few more goals that night, and it would have been very interesting. I think there's still that mentality aspect in there with PSG, as where Bayern are, you know what you're going to get. And I think, again, over the two legs, it'll just be too much for PSG.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right there with the Barca game. I think if Barca had scored that penalty, the one missed, I think they could have crumbled. You know what I mean? You don't know, but it's just an opinion. They might have went on.
You never know what you're going to get from PSG. That's you never know what you're going to get. You seen the game of the new camp, they won 4-1, but then you could have lost that game 4-1 in the second game, so you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think against a team like Bayern, it'll just be too much over 2 games. I can't see them being consistent over 2 games, so I'm going to have Bayern to get through here. And then the last one, Real Madrid against Liverpool. Do you know what? The boys were saying they probably would have took it before the draw was made, but now that it's been made, Madrid have got that pedigree. It won't be easy. They're not the Madrid of old, but they've somehow managed to get here. I know they probably not had the most difficult way to get to the quarterfinal, but they're still a team that they won't be looking at them and think it's going to be easy. And the way Liverpool are playing as well, Madrid will be looking at Liverpool and thinking we've got a good chance of going through as well. So how do you see this tie, Josh? I would say this is probably the most evenly balanced tie out of them all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. No, both teams aren't as good as what they were in the last couple of years. I think Madrid have just been getting carried along by like Casemiro and Benzema, the older boys. Whereas Liverpool have had struggles. I do think they may be coming out of that now. The two legs against Leipzig, I thought they were brilliant. I think both games they controlled it. Matched Leipzig for everything and just overall better team. I think in this one, I think Liverpool's going to go through. I think Liverpool have too much for Real Madrid. I think Liverpool are a better team overall.
Yeah.
They're having a nightmare of a league season. Obviously, their injuries have been shocking, but I think they've put that aside now in the Champions League, and they'll really, really go for this one. I think obviously
I agree. I think it's a very evenly balanced. I think it's a very evenly balanced tie, but I do favour Liverpool. I do think they will get through. I think it'll be tight, but I do think they'll do enough. I can see maybe a draw in the first game and then one in the second game. But then there's somebody saying that the games could be at neutral venues again, 2 neutral venues, which makes it even more difficult to call. But I do think Liverpool will, if you go through player for player, they're probably stronger than Madrid. So that would leave, I think if we both agree on every one, to be fair. So I would leave Man City against Bayern Munich and Chelsea against Liverpool. So how would you see that going? Obviously, we're not going to get into too much because it's a long way away, but who would you fancy to get to the final in?
I think if they all being equal, you know, we don't know the teams that's out, the suspensions, all that crack. Just looking now, City, Liverpool final, I think.
You think Liverpool will get past Chelsea, even
I
the
think
way
they
they're
would.
playing?
I think so.
Them
I
two,
think in Europe, I just think in Europe they would. They'll find a way through them. I don't know how far away is fans and stuff from getting in the stadiums. You know what I mean? That
Nah, it won't be. It won't be this year anyway.
no.
Nah,
I think if
I
that
think
was
they're
the
going to be
case, I think I
possibly.
would be.
I think they're going to be possibly the last 2 games of the Premier League. Well, it's
Right.
actually officially set the Monday after the weekend of the second last weekend of the season. But I think what they're trying to do, Premier League, is if it's going to go ahead, they're going to move them fixtures to a Monday because it will be unfair for one team to get 10,000 for, especially if it's the last game of the season. I think as a Brighton play Newcastle, which could be a relegation thing, if they've got 10,000 fans.
Brighton or Newcastle Fulham, that's what it is.
Or Newcastle Fulham, that's what it is. There could possibly. So I think what they're trying to do is every team will get a home game at the end of it. So again, that wouldn't come on it. You could see fans for the Champions League final then, depending on maybe that, but I don't think we'll see fans before then. So as you say, it would be a different thing if Anfield was packed. You know, it would give Liverpool that. You would think so.
Did Liverpool beat Chelsea in the semi-final when they went to Istanbul in 05?
Istanbul, I know there's a lot of, I know that was 16 years ago. So again, they could meet again. You know what? I said that A2, the big test for Man City will be if they do play Bayern Munich, which I do think they will. Can they get past a team of that experience? You know, that'll be when the question comes in terms of their mentality. But I think they're ready, and I think they will. And I do think we will see an all-English final. But on current form, I would say Chelsea. I think but Liverpool could possibly have a stronger squad by, I think it's the start of May, the semi-finals. So you could see players back. But the way Chelsea are playing at the minute, you couldn't top against them. So it's going to be a really, really exciting end of the season for the Champions League. I think it's a great draw. Some great ties to look forward to. For the neutral as well. If you are a team like Spurs and you're struggling to watch, you can watch these games. Europa League draw, Josh. I think Dean just put it on there a couple months ago. United up against the mighty Granada. I think this is a fantastic draw for United. I think Granada obviously edged past Molde. Again, it was a tie you don't usually see in the last 16. So Granada are probably a team that are here based on the draw. I think United are going to be very confident at getting past this crowd. What do you think?
I think saying all this pessimism from United fan, but I think you just have to say you should beat Granada. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to win a Europa League and you can't get past Granada, you don't really deserve it, to be honest. They're a solid team. Do you know what I mean? They'll be like Burnley in the Spanish league. You know, they'll make it hard for United, but I think overall United should have too much of them. They'd be one of them. They'd be like Athletic Madrid light kind of thing. They'll sit back, soak it up. If Soldado,
I think United will be too strong. I do. I think United will be too, and I think they'll be comfortable again. I think this is a great draw from Arsenal against Prague. Now, this is a really, really tricky draw for Arsenal. You look at Prague's record of I said, remember you the last draw? I said this team are dark horses. I would not want to be playing this team. I think we have Ajax or Roma. Again, it's difficult, but you know what you're going to get. There's a lot of. I think the difficulty with Prague is teams don't know a lot about them. They're playing in a league, obviously, where it's a very poor standard. But whatever it is, they seem to be a lot better than. If you look at Zagreb, right? I think last night any other team beats them. I think Prague they've got a bit more of a pedigree about them in the recent seasons. You look at they played Chelsea in the semi-final a couple of years ago, and were very unlucky to go out.
They look at Sevilla a couple of years ago too.
Exactly, Sevilla. You look at
Leicester.
2 of their players were Soucek and Soufal, who's going to West Ham and done really well. So there is a bit of a pedigree there, though. They've beat, and most impressively, they went away to Leicester and won 2-0, and away to Rangers and won 2-0. And Rangers have been doing really well against the likes of Benfica, who give Arsenal a tie. So there's not, if you balance it out, there's probably not a lot in it. Arsenal will be favourites, but again, it's a very difficult draw. And I'm sure now a lot of Arsenal fans will be looking at the Prague results this year and thinking it's a lot more difficult than it sounds. That's for sure.
You don't know what you're going to get with Arsenal, do you? Too, and think they could make a complete meal of it. Like last year with the Olympiacos, they made a meal of that. You know what?
Yeah.
They were actually beating them last night again too, but it's a tricky one. You still think Arsenal will be favourites, but you put your money on Prague, they go through. You know what I mean?
How do you see it? What would your final call be on it if you had to pick?
I'll go Prague. I'll say Prague. The last couple of years in Europe, you know, they've done well. They've beat some big teams, give as you say, Chelsea are game Rangers this year. Leicester's a better team than Arsenal, and they put Leicester out comfortable.
Yeah, they've had a tough run here because nobody would have wanted to play Leicester or Rangers.
No.
And they'll be confident going to Arsenal. They'll look at Arsenal and they think there's vulnerabilities there. A lot of it's going to come down to this first game for me. I think the first game's at home. Arsenal are going to have to get a result here. I think Prague have been doing very well away from home as well, but very, very tight,
Yeah.
But I was going to say well, Prague's look. It's not luck they're here. Will Prague be able to produce another, great performance? You know what? I'm gonna say, because I did say they beat Leicester and Rangers, so I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to say they're going to knock Arsenal out, and that's taking the Spurs thing out of it. I do think it's a very difficult draw, and Prague might do the job on them. Ajax against Roma, fascinating tie. Probably two of the teams you would have said at the start of the season would have been the English teams that looked at and thought that's the two teams you'd expected there towards the end. So the fact they're playing each other probably suits United and Arsenal if they get through. So how do you see that going? Two different, two contrasts and styles. Ajax are a very footballing-based team. Roma will be Italian, very hard to beat, you'd imagine. But both come through their ties with big ones, aggregate victories. I think both teams were free before 5 goals. So how do you see it going?
Well, that's probably one of the ties of the round there for Europa League standards. Roma play good football as well. I think Ajax are flying the top league, so there's nothing really to worry about on that side. I think Ajax will be too good for them over 2 legs. But you just don't know what the stage of the game, what's going to happen, who's going to show up. But I would back Ajax to go through.
Again, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Dutch football or Italian football. All I can go on is what I've seen over the last year or so. So I watched the Ajax twice against Liverpool this year, and they were very good on the ball, but just didn't have that end product. Well, that was just an off night for them. But it was, they just couldn't break Liverpool. I don't know. But they seem to be scoring goals for fun against everybody else. Roma come through a very difficult tie against that Shakhtar Donetsk as well. So very, very tight one. I'm gonna go against you here. I think Ajax will probably have a lot of the possession in these games, but Roma's experience might just count. I'm gonna go for the Italians. They just edge them out. And then Zagreb against Villarreal. I'll tell you what, Villarreal probably can't believe their luck that they've got Zagreb. And I'm telling you, Zagreb or Spurs made this team look half decent last night. Your man Orsic's fair play. He scored that great hat trick. But I think if he try to do it again, he'll probably trouble resist this. That's just one of them nights, I think, where he had everything going from. I think Villarreal scored a lot of goals. Emery's obviously been criticised at Arsenal. And I think Villarreal will play Arsenal if both teams go through. Do you think he'll have a revenge on his mind?
See, for the Europa League, there's not many better managers than Emery. I think he's won 3 times.
He's got a pedigree.
And he got them the final. I think he was probably harshly treated now, looking back at it, because I think he's a better manager than Arteta, would you not? That's what I've
currently, you have to say he is because of his records. Arteta's on the
I would back Villarreal, they beat Zagreb, and then they beat Arsenal. Or I picked Prague, but you picked Arsenal. But I picked Villarreal out of the 4. They won't through the final, I would say. So, Villarreal.
So you think, I think Villarreal beat Zagreb, but you think Villarreal will beat Arsenal anyway if Arsenal get through?
I would say so. I think Villarreal probably make it the final. I think it'd be United Villarreal final is what my prediction would be.
And then you think United against Ajax, you think? I think United will make the final too. I think United will definitely get to the final. I think Arsenal have a trickier path. I think on paper, United looks more difficult to semi-final because it's Roma or Ajax. But no one's factoring in the fact that Prague are a very, very good side. And that Villarreal have got the manager of this tournament. He knows how to win this tournament. He's won it 3 times in Sevilla. So again, that has to be factored into it. So I think, as I know a lot of people say, but there will be being a very, it's a Mickey Mouse competition. But to tell you what, that'll be a good side. They won this.
Hey, once you get down to the quarters, it's always a good competition. Remember last year it was like they done it the knockout test. I think it was exciting. United, Inter Milan, Sevilla. There was 5 teams left on it. I think it's the same this year. United, Arsenal, Roma, Ajax. 5 teams on it. I think United's squad's too good. If you get everybody fully fit, they have to be winning it. They have to win it.
Yeah. I agree. Here's just a wee bit of breaking news on my phone here. United agreed 5-year deal worth $235 million with global technology company TeamViewer to become principal shirt sponsor next season. So a big deal for United. I'm sure they'll increase the funds as well for the summer. And you know what? All he does need backed regardless of what happens, is between now and May, and he's back. But you know what? I do think one way or another, United are going to win a trophy, and I think this Europa League's prime for them. I look at them; they're very mature. They're ready to win. I think there's a good chance. They're never getting a better chance. I know we've said it's difficult, but they're never getting a better chance than this. You look at the teams on it; they're still the best team on it for me. Josh, just before we go, predictions for the weekend. Big weekend in the cups and the league before the international break. Starts off tonight, Fulham against Leeds in the Premier League. Leeds, do you know what? If they can win this, there's still a chance they might finish maybe 7th at least. While they're looking at that, you never know. They're so tight there at the minute. But Fulham, it's a bigger game for Fulham, to be honest. You know, they're in a relegation battle. Parker's another boy that's been talked about. Possibly been linked with Spurs. You know, the fact he's played with them before, he's got that connection. But I do think, as I said, I think he's a lot more to prove. He's very new to management and stuff. But I still think they've got every chance of staying up. Do you think? I know Leeds, you never know what you're going to get. But do you think that they're hitting Leeds at a good time? That they're safe in the league and they look a wee bit tired at times, and Fulham seem to be hitting their best spell of the season? Do you think this is a good game for Fulham to have?
I think Fulham's absolutely must win now, and Leeds have been a couple of 0-0s in a row, and it's not like Leeds, you know what I mean? They be involved in a 0-0. I think Fulham will win tonight. I think it'll be maybe 1-0.
1-0. I'm gonna go for 2-1 Fulham, and that if they can win that would put big pressure on tomorrow night, because Brighton actually play Newcastle. We'll get on that now. Brighton play Newcastle tomorrow night. Massive game at the bottom. I think. Do you know what? It's going to be one of the games where both teams won't want to lose. You know how it's going to go. Brighton are going to have a lot of the ball, and Newcastle are going to sit back. Newcastle are sitting on 28 points. Brighton on 29. Fulham on 26. Fulham come on night. They will go above Newcastle. So it's a massive game. How do you see it going, Josh?
I think Brighton comfortable tomorrow. I think Newcastle are so bad. I think they're absolutely one of the worst teams. They're going to get relegated, I think. Fulham will catch them.
I think at the minute, Newcastle are looking the most likely to go down with West Brom and Sheffield. What do you think?
I think if Brighton won tomorrow, they'll be safe. And then it's big pressure on Newcastle. I think that's... So my prediction, Brighton maybe 2-0.
2-0 as well. I'm going to go 2-0 as well. Do you know what I think as well? It'll be another one of them. See if Brighton do beat them and Fulham won tonight. You've had dreaded international break for a manager. They'll probably look at bringing somebody in because Bruce hasn't really been working for them. Can they get a bounce effect until the last 9 games? That'll be interesting.
I think they'll bring your man on. They already have him on. What do you call him? The assistant manager they've brought on, Jones. I think. Yeah. I think that's who
he could be asked to take over in the season. Funny enough, I know we're a week further forward in terms of the calendar year, but after this weekend, it'll be the same sort of when we come back from the international break. It's like a 9-game running. So again, last year when we had the lockdown, you had that 9-game running, and if you put it in the context, United were 8 points behind Leicester. And then 9 games, you're able to turn it around to get them to finish above them. So again, there is still a chance for teams to turn stuff around. And it will be a lot of teams over at the international break, no doubt about it, thinking about changing their manager. Whether they go for top 4 or whether they go for top 6 or relegation. There's definitely going to be that conundrum in their heads. Zach Little's saying Europa League's in the bag for United. He'll be very happy with that draw. Sheen's saying Longford to beat Derry, of course. The Electricity League returns tonight. There's a butter Van Herps man. I think you'd be more concerned about Van Herps than you are about Derry. Just you worry about them. But moving on to Sunday in the Premier League. We'll come back into the FA Cup games. West Ham against Arsenal. West Ham, they're 3 points behind Chelsea. With this game in hand, they play, so they could possibly go level on points with Chelsea. And you think at the way Chelsea are playing, West Ham, they're going to have to win as well consistently to get on that top 4. Do you think they can? Do you think they'll beat Arsenal on Sunday?
Aye, I do. I think they will. I think Arsenal coming off the Europa League match first night. I think West Ham fresh enough. Lingard back for this one. I think he's been playing well. I got to call up the England team. I think he'll score. I think West Ham 1-2, 2-1, 2-0.
I think you're not far wrong. I think West Ham have really a knack for winning games this year. They've been very, very good. I think against United they were a bit too negative. I think they'll be a bit more positive here. They're very good at the back, and they might. Arsenal's focus is definitely going to be on the Europa League. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Ham victory. And then Villa against Spurs, 7:30. Villa probably having their worst run of the season. They've been missing Grealish. I think Grealish could be back. I'm not sure he could be back. Spurs at the minute, you're in such a good run there before that Arsenal game. That's all went about parachute again. How do you see it going on Sunday? Good chance for Villa to get back on the European route again.
I think Villa won. I think they do. I think they've. If some of their players would definitely get in the Spurs team, do you know what I mean? That's
I agree.
mad. Look at that. They just come up. Their manager could probably take over Spurs.
Dean Smith will be an about it. But then you think about Villa, good side. Don't get me wrong. Even when Grealish come out of the team, you can still see they have an identity, but a lot of it evolves around Grealish as well. If you take Grealish out, they're nowhere near the level of that top 7, top 8.
I think they'll win. I
think they're going to win anyway, even without Grealish. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Villa. If Grealish plays, I don't think Spurs have any chance, to be honest. Funny enough, if Spurs can somehow rally around and win on Sunday, it puts them back on the top 4 picture. That's how crazy the season is. Do you know what? And this is their season here on Sunday. Forget about the cup final. They have to get a result here. But I don't think they've got the mentality, or that, as Laurie spoke about, that togetherness in the squad. I just don't think it's there. You would expect that after the Arsenal game they bounced back, but they didn't. So no real signs they're going to do it here. FA Cup weekend, Josh, quarter-final, Saturday. We've got Bournemouth against Southampton. Southampton have been in awful form in 2021. Bournemouth, again, they've changed their manager. I think they've turned a bit of a corner. And it's a South Coast derby. You know what? Bournemouth will be looking at this and thinking they have a great chance. But Southampton, despite their league form, have been doing well in the cup. They beat Arsenal, they beat Wolves. They get here. So do you think Southampton will be able to have enough to get past Bournemouth?
I do. I think they will go through. Like Dan Ings still playing well. Do you know what I mean? Bangum and Shea Adams playing well. I think they will. I think they'll go through. I think maybe 3-0, something like that.
3-0. I'm going to go 3-1. I think Southampton as well. They'll turn up here and their seasons. They're not going to get relegated. Well, they're not going to get relegated. They probably need a couple more ones to be safe, but I do think they'll have enough to stay up. I think the FA Cup's a couple to be looking at. They possibly get a day out at Wembley. Everton against Man City. Again, Man City is the chance they go and put the quadruple a bit more in sight. Everton, you just never know what you're going to get with Everton. Again, they're a team that's not won a trophy for a long time. They've got Ancelotti in there who seems to have got a bit of a mentality into them. They went and big games this year. They went like a Liverpool one. So tricky tie for Man City, but do you think they'll have too much for Everton?
I think it's really tricky. I think all the talk of quadruple, you can't talk about it until they beat Everton. I think once they beat Everton, then you can really go on there, because I think Everton is a hard enough team. You don't know what you're going to get with Everton. But I do think City will have too much of them. I think it'll be a good match.
No, I think City as well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 City one. I think they have a great record at Goodison Park over the last few years. They seem to go there and win all the time. So I think they'll be looking forward to it. And they didn't play midweek as well. Sorry, they did play midweek against Gladbach, but it was very comfortable. The game was over after 45 minutes. So I think they're scrolling through games at the minute. And I fancy them to be too strong here. Chelsea against Sheffield United on Sunday. Great draw for Chelsea. I think Sheffield United have changed the manager as well, and I think it's a mistake letting Wilder go. I think there's been disagreements off the pitch, so they obviously feel a change is necessary. But didn't really get any bounce effect at all, and I think they could be in for an hour-long day here against Chelsea.
I think it was a bad decision to get rid of him, and then they brought on Heckerman. It actually got worse. Do you know what I mean? I think was a 5-0 against Leicester. I watched it there. It was awful performance defensively. I think this could be a match now where Chelsea maybe pile on the goals. I think there's been questions about Chelsea ability to score 2 and 3 in a match. I think this would be a good chance here for them to pile on. They could even play a reserve team and still do it. I think the players they have on their bench.
Tuchel will be looking at this again as another great opportunity. I want to trophy in his first season. He's got the Champions League, but he's got this as well. Probably a lot easier to win, the FA Cup. So I think Chelsea won this 3-0.
I was going to say 4-0, so there's my 4-0 Chelsea. 3-0.
Probably the tie around Leicester against Man United. I think it's possibly been spoiled by the fact that Leicester's couple of best players are going to be out. And Vardy hasn't looked the same player the last few weeks. So it's probably a good time for United to be playing Leicester.
I think United too starting to get Pogba's coming back. I think Donny van de Beek, although he doesn't plays in the FA Cup more. I think De Gea was injured. Henderson's come on too. He's been playing all right. I think United is going to be too strong for them. I think overall, I think they'll be about 2-0 maybe. Defensively, I think United look solid. So
when I say that, I think United will score 1 goal and it'll be enough. I think they'll win 1-0. They look solid at the back, and again, if you go on that last 4, United, City, Chelsea, everybody will probably want Southampton if we're sort of predicting how it's going to go. They'll want Southampton. But again,
Yeah.
you've 3 top teams in there, so you're probably going to get our top final at the end of the season. So there's more to look forward to. And again, if we're talking about that quadruple, Man City will probably have to beat Chelsea or United in the final. Or if they don't get, if they were to draw Southampton, for example, they'd still have to beat a City or a United or Chelsea in the final. So the quadruple's not as easy as it sounds, definitely not. And I think that maybe the fact that you've got Bayern Munich or PSG to play, and then possibly Chelsea or Liverpool to play, it's still a long way off, you say. And Pep Guardiola will be drawing that on the players. But Josh, thanks very much. Really good show. Great insight on the European draws as well. Fingers crossed it all goes well with Derry, man. As you say, pre-season seems to be going well. I've seen the fixture list come out there as well. So again, I'm sure you'll have your eye on a few fixtures. Top man, and I'll see you again. All right.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.